We're live.
We're live. Good evening, everybody. Let's see who all's out there. Let me turn the sound on. I'm using the iPad tonight so I can see any questions that come up.
Who's on?
Oh, there we go. DS Comics. I'm home in time for change. What's up, guys? Hey, DS. I watched your Silver Age. I think I commented on it. It was pretty good. There's a lot of books I agreed with him that I slept on. I kind of feel like I missed out on a couple books.
Like what?
Well, there was Tales to Astonish, or Astonishing Tales 25, the Deathlock book, a 9.6. It sold for under $400. It's it's pretty cheap for that book.
Yeah, 9.6. Oh yeah.
Yeah, white pages. So I went through today and I looked at all 39 pages of Comic Links. Starts April 10th.
Yes.
I have about 30 of them marked. So
yeah, there's a book I'm interested in.
I think I know which one.
Yeah. We'll see.
I got a bunch marked. So let's go here. I'm going to bring it up on my channel because it doesn't seem like the chat's all that big on there. It doesn't really look like it's any bigger than this. Yeah, if I hold this up here, I can read this fine. Well, we got Silver Age Dave. Dave, I got your questions. One of them has me concerned about your well-being, but we're going to answer them. I jumped the gun and opened my Guinness can already, so sorry, everybody. It's I'm still working with it. Up in my area, I don't know if in your areas, if any of you are Guinness drinkers, they have a bear on them right now. And I don't know what the significance, but look how beautiful that is. Oh, you know what? I don't have my lapel mic on. How's my audio?
You sound good. I hear you fine.
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. Now, anyone sound off on the chat if my audio doesn't sound as good as it did last week? I can throw that on real quick.
Yeah, so you sound pretty good.
Yeah.
Sound loud and clear to me.
Voice this evening. Who else we got on here? We got Maurice Devereaux. We got Todd.
I have your question, Maurice. I will present it during this broadcast.
Oh yeah, Comic Link collection starts tonight, the 10th. Yeah, I keep thinking today's the 9th. I don't know why.
Well, how long does it last? 2 weeks?
Yeah, usually 2 weeks. Yeah. And this is really the only part that I kind of look at. It's Bronze and Silver Age, and then I think next when this one ends, the next thing is Late Bronze and Copper and Modern, and I might look at a little bit of that, but for the most part, I think most of the books that I'm into aren't going to be there. And I got 3 screens going right now. It's just a little. I feel like I'm in a
look at you.
I got lights. Everything's going on in here. So if for anyone that hasn't watched, I've started to every Wednesday night. I put Anthony and my latest videos in the links down below if you want to do that, either after the show or for sure stay here and listen to us talk before you click on those links, because it'll take you away from us. But I watched yours I think at lunchtime I watched it.
Oh, okay. Yeah. I was supposed to release an EC video today, but I decided to go with this one. I'll release the EC video next week.
Villain one?
Yeah, I got after this one I got 2 more.
You know, what's funny is you think of the big villains, Magneto and people like that, but the series that you're doing, because you did 1 and 2, you forget how many villains they have. And reoccurring villains.
The thing about this series is now that the X-Men are in the Marvel Cinematic Universe, and it's a good time to pick these books up now because you just never know. The sky's the limit.
Sinister is a good one to pick up right now.
Which one?
Mr. Sinister.
Oh yeah, that's.
Yeah, I don't think they put him in a Carrion movie, but I could see him as being a cog in some kind of big story.
Yeah. If they like doing those story arcs, he's perfect for a story arc.
Yeah, I mean, it's too bad they use Days of Future Present. They're not going to be able to use that one. I don't really think they're going to go ahead with any Magneto type story at this point. These kind of things like they need to put him to bed for a little while.
Magneto kind of story. That's like every X-Men movie that's ever been.
And the Dark Phoenix thing, that's going to be in this movie, so that's going to be kind of burnt. So
that's already the second. That's already the second attempt at that too.
Exactly. So where are you going to go from there? I mean, the Morlocks are free game, and anytime you got Morlocks and Mr. Sinister and the Marauders and all that mess,
absolutely nasty boys, and who knows? Who knows? You might, I don't know if I talked about any of the videos I just released. I know I have 4 of them have been filmed already, but look for Onslaught. Look for all these other characters that you just never know. Just never know.
Yeah, I could definitely see something like that happen. Hey, the good doctor's in.
Oh,
Doc, this is
John.
great. You know, our group, I was looking at last week, someone said it was an all-star audience last week, and I agree. Everyone that was on there are usually people that either have really good channels themselves or they comment a lot. I see AG Surfers here. So it's kind of become a YouTube community's own little secret green door. You got to know a secret password to get in, kind of thing.
That's right.
Hey Doc, I hope you saw my latest video. I think you'll appreciate it.
I still have yet to watch your latest video.
Only 2 minutes, actually.
I know. I forget that I'm not used to you releasing videos.
Yes, it's so quick. Well, I have a whole bunch too that I'm going to be doing soon. So. The big one that I'm looking once the weather gets a little bit warmer is I'm going to take all my landfill books, or a lot of them, back to the original place I purchased them.
Okay.
And, you know, I'll talk about each one because I remember, I can pick it up, and as soon as I hold it in my hand, I remember the day, who I was with, all of that stuff. So, and I think it'll be a fun tag video. So, you know, I talked to Doc about this. He's got a book he's going to take down to Carlisle where he bought it originally. I think that'll be a fun trip. But you know, everyone else that may have books like that, I think that would be a great, not so much, but an official tag, but an unofficial tag video. I think it'd be fun this summer if everyone does it. Yeah,
that'd be good. I'd be interested in doing that.
I'd like to see you track down that guy that you used to get books from.
Oh God, I've been looking for him. I just can't find him. You know, it's a. I would contact him if he was on Facebook. He might be on Facebook, but I haven't found him. You know, maybe he's going by another name that I just don't remember or whatever. But
give me the particulars.
Well, his name is Gilbert. His last name was High.
Okay.
Now, whether you spell that the traditional way you spell High, I don't know, but that's the way that's what I remember of his name.
Okay.
I mean, he should be in his 50s by now.
I know a guy that's in his 50s.
Do you? Who?
He's a new guy. Xavi Estrada, like Eric Estrada, huh? Which X-Men team do you believe will be used in the MCU? Oh, that's a good question.
So are we starting now? Or are we starting with the question?
That's kind of a question, yeah. That's a good one. Hey, Discovery Bay's here. I didn't catch his show this morning. I don't know if he mentioned us, and I'm sure he did.
He's got good production value.
Oh yeah, every week it gets a little bit better. I noticed. Yeah, his screen presence is getting better. Anyway, I would say I kind of think they maybe would go with the originals.
Yeah, probably.
I mean, it's good. They really haven't. They've all kind of been in there, but not really. And if they went back to the originals, then that sets up a lot of the other storylines, like the Morlocks and things like that. Because then you could show Archangel getting, maybe that's where he gets his wings cut off, you know, that kind of thing.
They can, you know, they could go in so many different directions.
Yeah.
But that's a good question. Which team you think will they start out with? They might start out with the original, but I would imagine they're going to throw Wolverine in there eventually. There might be a lead up to Wolverine.
Yeah.
I mean, I think that's what a lot of people want to see. Who the next Wolverine is going to be.
If they started with Giant Size, that would be kind of cool too. Giant Size 94, that whole story arc I think would be cool.
Because the original team is there in the shadows, and they could be working on an X Factor spinoff. You know, you never know.
There's a lot of directions. Yeah, a lot of directions they could go.
Yeah. And then the Morlocks could be there too, because it's right after Giant Size.
Yeah. Yeah, and really you could take them through the whole formation of the school and the whole thing.
Yeah. That would be good.
Yeah.
That would be good. And Magneto, they don't have to see how Magneto became Magneto.
No,
they can introduce him the way he was introduced in the Claremont run. That there was talk that he was, you know, in the background. You hear a lot about
because
him.
At that point he had been, reversed aged by Eric the Red.
That's right.
Yeah.
That's right.
So he was reduced back to a kid. And I think they did that just so they could keep using him, because otherwise he would have been like 90 years old in the 60s. So.
Yeah, he was an old man when he started fighting them.
Yeah. So they wanted to preserve him. What do we got? Look at this.
I forgot about that, actually.
Yeah.
I forgot about that whole Eric the Red thing with Magneto. That's true. That's true.
Yeah, there's a lot of old comic book information in this beard.
every hair represents a piece of knowledge.
It's my comic knowledge beard. Anyway, let's get to it. So I reached out to some of you YouTubers out there, and I got some questions back. Anthony got a question or two. So if you like, Anthony, you wanna deal with that one first?
Sure. This one is from Maurice Devereaux.
All right, and I believe he's on.
Yes, he is. Here's a question. He has a few copies of Swamp Thing 37, and it's signed by Steve Bissette. He wants to know what will yield a better return for those books. Should he go verified with CBCS, or should he go qualified with CGC?
I would say go with CBCS because they will verify the signature, and he'll get a higher rate of return on that. If he gets a green qualified back, it'll just say that somebody wrote on there. It'll say the name is written in pen on the cover. It won't say that it's an autograph. They won't say that it's not the signature, but they won't say that it is.
Right. True. I agree with Patrick. It's also, for me, and I'm not saying this is for everybody, when I see a green label, I just like, eh.
Yeah. For me, and I'm a snob this way, unless it's a early Silver or Golden Age book, if it's anything but blue, I don't like it.
Yeah, if it's a Silver Age book that says Jack Kirby written on it, I might consider it.
Yeah, I might too.
But, for everything else, I'm like, no thanks.
No, and I think that's the one time right now until things change. Nick's series has really illustrated this for me more. I always kind of knew it, but he's gotten the science behind it that on average they're at least 20% lagging. I think even worse on keys.
Yeah, I've been watching his videos on that, and some of those CBCSs just went for like so much less.
Yeah, well,
sometimes it's close, but some are just like, geez.
Well, the one he did was 32%, and the other big thing to ask yourself: when was the last time you saw Amazing Fantasy 15 CBCS book?
Well, I'll say, I showed you that picture of that Amazing Fantasy 15 that got a 1.5. I'm looking at it. How the hell is this a 1.5?
I wouldn't have even given that a 0.5. It was huge.
It was horrible.
Yeah,
it was horrible. So take that for what it's worth.
Yeah. Yeah. So that's the answer, Maurice.
That's the answer, Maurice.
If you have three, you could always, do two with CBCS and throw one to CGC just to see what happens. I think
you think it might be a matter of time before CGC has their own verified.
I don't know what the reasoning behind that is. I don't know. Scandal thing, and getting back to the which one's better argument, I don't know so much better as if you're slabbing to sell books, I think you're crazy to not go to CGC at this point.
Yeah, it doesn't make sense.
I don't carry either one of their flag. I really don't care. I'll go with whoever makes me the most money because I usually only slab to sell. So I can see it at a point where CBCS will overtake them because Beckett's behind them now, bankrolling them. So that's a much larger company with a lot more money. Their new facility they moved to is supposed to be humongous. And CGC's, from what Nick was saying, is they're pigeonholed right now. They're tight. They don't have a lot of room to move. So, if the industry keeps growing the way it is, CGC may get, spaced out. They may not have enough room to do everything. And you get into the economies of scale and all that kind of thing. They may not be able to compete with CBCS price-wise and turnaround time.
But for right now, I think for now.
Until you see it change, everybody, I would go that way.
Absolutely.
And I think CGC right now is doing very well. We're on the verge, though, of big cons happening. So it's a double whammy because half of the staff's on the road taking submissions, and then they're out taking submissions on the road, and then they're also not back at home base grading and moving things along. So, and then they take in more books. So
it's amazing what business this has become. Slabbing comics.
I had a conversation with. I had a big birthday party, and some of my family, we were talking about things, and some of them watched the YouTube channel here, and they were fascinated by the plastic covered comic books, they kept calling them, or I think one of my uncles called it Tupperware maybe, but
what are those Tupperware comics called?
Yeah, that's what he said. And it's just funny to me because if you're outside of this hobby, it probably is bizarre. You do what now? You send your book to somebody and they stick it in plastic.
It's like,
it's great.
You spend that much on a comic book?
Oh yeah, yeah. And
you spend that much on that car
I think
out
it's
there?
funny until you tell them what you sell these books for. When I disclose what I sold those Spider-Man 300 9/8 for, then everything gets quiet and people suddenly start leaning forward. They're interested.
That's true. That's true.
So
absolutely.
It's all funny till they hear how much you can make doing this, and I love it because it supports my hobby. It's great.
Yeah.
So all right, I hope we answered Maurice's question.
Yeah.
So we have questions here from Silver Age Dave. He got back to me. He got me some questions, which is great. I have a question here from Captain UK Pop Culture Fun. And he and Mike, actually, because I went to Mike and asked him, and Mike gave me some great questions. And then we also have some from After Comics. Alan sent in some questions. So
what do you want to start with?
I don't know. You want me to do them in order? You want to do a silver question, and then we'll go from there?
We'll do a silver question, then a cap question, then a after.
This is a silver question, and it's similar to Maurice's, so this makes sense. Okay. So his question was, what's the conversion factor on a PGX restored label 4.0 minor color touch and interior tape to a blue label CGC? My guess would be 1.5 CGC, but you guys are the experts. So him saying Etzberg's got me to think of the two guys that I know that know more about CGC than anyone, and Nick and Mike. So I asked them both, and Nick came back and said that since there are just too many variables really to give a definitive answer, and Nick, is very black or white. So he basically said he could see if it was a CGC comparison, but it would be very hard to compare between the two because his thought was PGX historically has been very bad at finding other restoration like trimming or new staples, things like that. They're decent at picking up color touch, but other things they're not real good at. So that was kind of his answer. Mike, being the scientist that he is, sent me a page-long answer. So everyone, hang with me and listen to this. Okay. So Mike's answer was, is the restoration being removed and then graded by CGC? If so, then there are a few things to consider. Depending upon the color touch, the grade may be affected if it's professional and acrylic inks or pencil were used. The grade would not change much. If it is amateur and used ink bleed through, then there will be 1 point plus a difference in order to remove the bleed through. The paper is cut out, leaving holes. So that's the difference. If someone uses like a Sharpie and it bleeds through, you can't scrape that off. The way that gets removed is they actually cut the offending material out. So now you end up with a hole. Okay. Anyway, at times you just don't want to do this even with a low grade book. So that part makes sense to me. So what Mike's basically saying is if it's done with acrylics and some of the better, and this happened before, it's not always people trying to pull a fast one. They use brushes and they use actual acrylic ink, which is what the comics were printed with originally. So that kind of more or less lays on top and can be scraped off like a scalpel. I think Nick's demonstrated that in a video. All right, so then it says there's also a difference between PGX and CGC. Typically, this is a 0.5 to 1 point difference. Tape does not affect the grade whether it is removed or not. He's right. I've seen that. They'll denote that there's tape on the inside cover, but it really doesn't affect the grade. So given pro or semi-pro color touch that is minor, expect a 0.5 to 1 point drop factor in either. Or another 0.5 for grading company differences. In this case, you would get a 2.5 to 3.0 blue label, is Mike's opinion. If the color touch is amateur and to the point to where you need to cut away the paper, you may wind up with a 2.0. And that's what I thought when I first saw Dave's question. I figured by the time you remove the color touch in the tape, you're going to end up with probably a 2.0 CGC blue label. So, and then his last comment is if there is a lot of bleed through and you really don't want restored book, then you're looking at a 1.5 or a 1.8 CGC blue label. So long and short of it is, Dave, I don't know that what really you can do with this. Now, it depends on what book it is. I mean, if it's a really high dollar book, you know, like a Showcase 4 or something like that, even a half a point jump is worth it. And having that restored, you know, label on it is probably worth it. But I mean, that's a value judgment.
Yeah, it's true. I mean, it definitely is true. It really depends on what the book, if you want to go through this. And there are a lot of variables involved in this. So there's no definitive answer necessarily.
There's really not. And I you know, I understand where Nick's coming from with the,
it makes a very good point.
Well, it's basically you're stepping on chunks of ice on the river. You know, you step on this one and you know, the other ones are moving because it's not the same company. So if it was a CGC to CGC, I think that's pretty easy. And if we could see what type of amateur, like CGC will give it an A1 or a C1 or whatever rating, and that gives that lets you know, was it amateur or was it you know, professionally done.
Yeah.
So
that was a good analogy, Patrick. Stepping on chunks of ice. I like that.
You know what it is? End up doing the Chinese split. So let's look at Silver Age Dave's second question, and this is where I think he might have got into the Bud Light for this question. Anyway, it said number 2, if you could live forever, but eventually the world blew up, that's grim, would you then just have to hold your breath in outer space forever?
Wouldn't you explode in outer space?
Well, no, the planet explodes. And I'm guessing he says if you could live forever. So I'm guessing you're somehow immortal, so you're impervious to harm.
Do you need to breathe if you're impervious to harm?
He says could you just hold your breath forever? So I'm guessing not. I'm guessing you're like Colossus.
Why would you have to hold your breath forever?
I don't know. That's the part where I think the Bud Light comes in.
Couldn't you just, like, if you were immortal or impervious to things, couldn't you just find some sort of Class M planet and then release your breath?
There you go. Well, either that or maybe because, like, when Colossus is in his organic steel state, he doesn't need to breathe, right?
I don't know. I don't know. Does he?
X-Men 150, he's walking on the ocean floor and he doesn't need to breathe.
Oh, wow. I got to read that book then.
Yeah.
And then
he gets within the field to where they lose their mutant abilities and he starts gagging because then he reverts back to human.
I don't know. Yeah. This is a question that's going to ponder the toughest.
I would say, yeah, I think you would just drift around until either some aliens that wanted to probe you found you, or like you said, they find a Class M planet to land on, and maybe you land on Jirella's homeworld and you start making half white and half green babies.
You could go on Titan.
You could go on Titan. There you go.
That's a moon, right?
Yeah, yeah. All right, well, let's finish out Dave's questions. Question number 3. Are there current keys so hot that you absolutely would not buy them right now?
You want to go first?
I would say Captain Marvel, that one, either Miss Marvel #1 or Marvel Superheroes 13. I wouldn't touch either one of those. I wouldn't go near. Well, these aren't modern though. Oh, current keys. No, yeah, like I said, like Iron Man 55.
What was the question? Was it current? Was it current?
No, are there current keys? No, I don't know. Does he mean like modern books or? Does he mean
no, I think the way I took the question was, are there keys out there that you just wouldn't touch? I'm thinking any keys. But it could be, he means keys that came out within the last, I guess, 10, 15 years.
Well, if he's just talking that they're currently hot, like Iron Man 55, I wouldn't go near. Really, anyone involved in the Avengers movie right now, I would not buy. I would not buy till after the movie.
Right. That's I wanted an Iron Man 55, but I'm not even going to start looking for that until another year from now.
Yeah.
Not worth it for me. Why do I need it now?
Well, like same thing for like Journey into Mystery 83. That's a book that's on my second tier, or what I call second tier blue chip for me. I'll wait till the movies die down and Thor's not in the public eye so much. I think that book will see at least a 20-30% drop, and then I'll grab it.
I'd say the same maybe I don't know, for Tales of Suspense 39.
Yeah.
I would like to get that one.
Yeah,
that would be the next. That would be like the next big Marvel silver for me.
Yeah.
Other than maybe Amazing. I'm sort of moving away from Amazing Spider-Man 1.
Yeah.
I'm like,
there are a few up on the Comic Link.
What's that?
There are a couple up on Comic Link tonight. They're going up.
Yeah,
tonight.
Maybe, no, I don't want to spend that kind of money on that.
It is pretty beefy money.
Yeah, I mean,
I haven't looked at the chat. I'm sure the chat's going berserk right now because everyone in here is in depth in the books as we are. So this is like, these are the perfect place to ask these questions because everyone on this chat has an opinion to that. So.
Oh yeah. Pretty
cool. Hey, Joker's in. Hey, dude.
Hey, Kurt.
Gumba's here.
Hey.
He had a really nice haul recently.
Yeah, FF1.
Yeah, yeah. He's still got that big pile of Kirby books he found. Kirby sign books, those swords.
Oh.
It's an awesome find. Hey, there he is, Knights of Old.
Hey, Mike.
Either he's skipping work or he just got home. All right, let's go on. Let's ask. Let me see. Let's want to hit a Mike question?
Yes.
All right.
Uh-oh. Running into trouble.
Well, this is my question. We'll save this one. Because this one's, it's kind of controversial. Anyway, so it may take a long time. That could be a whole show. All right. So Mike said, if you could live next door to any comic creator, living or dead, who would that be and why? Now, I just want to clarify and Mike's not here to ask, but are they in some kind of like zombie-like state? If it's like Jack Kirby, he died over 20 years ago. I don't want to live next door to him. He's gambling around his house, still cranking out 6 covers a week. Roz, bring me a sandwich, and he eats, and the chunks of food fall out his neck. I don't know. Oh, you want to go first? I know who yours is going to be.
You do?
Yeah. You want to live for Graham Ingalls.
You know, I thought about that, but he'd probably tell me to go F myself if I lived next to him. I would want to live next to Bill Gaines.
Oh, that's an interesting one. I hadn't thought of that one.
Yeah, he seems like he's an interesting guy. I would have loved to have worked for him. More so than like guys like Stan Lee and Carmen Infantino and Jack Kirby. I would have loved to have worked for Bill Gaines.
And I think probably Jack Kirby for me, because I don't know that much about Bill Gaines. Jack Kirby seemed very approachable. Everything I've read about him, like people used to just stop by his house and they would stand and watch him draw. And then his wife would go make him lunch and stuff like that. There's a lot of the stories like that floating around on YouTube and on the internet. And then part of me would want to live next door to John Byrne just so I could annoy the living hell out of him. He seems like the kind of guy that if you took your leaf blower and blew some leaves over on his yard, he'd freak out. So I would get enjoyment out of that. I mean, for me, it would be Jack Kirby.
Other than Bill Gaines, for me, I'd probably want to live next to the apartment next to Steve Ditko.
Oh yeah,
I would like it.
Yeah, Steve Ditko. You know who else would be cool to live is Steranko.
Oh yeah.
Back in the day, you know that guy had some crazy parties.
Oh man, shit.
Go-go girls in cages from the ceiling and the whole thing. Oh yeah, maybe Steranko. I don't know. I have to think about that. But probably Jack Kirby's my first thing that popped into my head.
Christ, if you were living next to Steranko, you would have cirrhosis of the liver right now.
I'd be wearing a black turtleneck and I'd have giant Elvis hair swooped up. I hope he's in Charlotte this year. I think I might stand in line this year just to talk to him. Yeah,
he's shorter than I expected.
Yeah, he's little. He's a little. He's frail too.
Yeah.
Kind of like you could pick him up and throw him around.
Yeah, but isn't he apparently a tough guy though?
I don't know how tough he is. He's like 90 years old.
Well, I mean, considering.
Yeah. All right. Here's Mike's next question. It's the year 2025. What are a few of the top books in your collection that you have either hopefully obtained in the next few years, upgraded, or have from way back in 2019? That's a good one.
All right, Patrick, you're up.
So it's 6 years from now. I'd say I hope that I have the full set of Silver Age books by then. I'd say, I'd like to get Amazing Fantasy 15. I would want to get Hulk 1, X-Men 1, Avengers 1, all of them. That's what I would hope, that I would have them all. I have all of the other minor keys that I really want, and anything that I remember nostalgically, I've already got. It's funny. Those are the first books I went after when I came back into it. I got a beautiful Astonishing Tales 25. Books like that, I just went right after it. Like I got a full run of Captain America. But that's what I would see. Hopefully I have by then. I hope long before then, because I don't want to pay 2025 prices. But who knows? Maybe think that'd be the time to buy.
You never know.
Yeah.
But I have a funny feeling, though, if that's the time to buy, let's say the market's not doing so well for whatever reason, I have a funny feeling a lot of people are going to lose interest.
Well,
because I do think a lot of people are attracted to what these things are worth.
Yeah, no,
what they will be worth.
I think anyone that says they're not is kind of lying too. I mean,
yeah, I think that's the unspoken truth.
Real comic collector, but the value's always in there now. I'm always thinking of the value quotient. You have to.
Yeah, I do think though, if like something happened, let's say next year, where everything just started to lose value. I'm not saying it is, of course, but I'm just saying by 2025, if things haven't picked up, I'm seeing people be panicking, trying to get rid of everything because like, oh, what am I going to do with this? It's never going to be worth anything. Then in 2026, a boom happens again, and everyone's like, "Whoa!"
Yeah. Well, I think a lot of it too. What we're seeing, and we see it at shows, and I've talked to dealers and comic shop owners. A lot of guys older than me, like probably 55 to 65. A lot of them are dumping their Silver Age collections right now. So
now could be the time to do it.
Now might be the best time. I mean, we might look back 5 years from now and say, geez, why didn't I buy multiple copies of some of these keys? Part of that could be that you have to keep a roof over your head and fill your stomach with food, but
maybe part of it.
I mean, the market is for sure, you can make more money in the market. Nick and others have done videos on this, but it's more fun. Do you want to own shares of Apple stock, or do you want to own some Silver Age keys? Because I wouldn't count on either one for my livelihood. So,
good point.
So, what? I didn't get your answer. What books do you think you would have?
I'm gonna have all the Tales from the Crypt books.
Well, that's almost happened already. That's gonna be in 2019.
I'm gonna have all the crime suspense books. I'm going to have all the Marvel Silver ones, maybe except for Avengers one, because no rush for that one.
No rush.
I'm going to have Detective 58, First Penguin. I'll have The Martian Manhunter. I'll have upgrades of my Deadshot. I'll have another upgrade for my Riddler's second appearance.
Martian Manhunter, is that the one that has a cover that looks like a giant snagglepuss stuffed animal?
No. It's the cover where Batman is taking his mask off, and all the other people are dressed like Batman, where he's taking his mask off because he can, because they're doing some sort of TV show or whatever. Yeah. And Bruce Wayne finally like, oh, what the hell, But that's what the cover.
What one am I thinking of? Where you see Martian Manhunter, he's like on a cliff, and there's like a big goofy looking stuffed animal thing coming at him.
That could be any cover from that era.
No, but I always thought that was Martian Manhunter's first appearance.
No, it's Detective 225.
Okay, God, it's
someone will know. A lot of those were horrible covers.
It's a horrible cover.
225 is a horrible cover. Yeah. The Batman 121 is a horrible cover.
Hey, that's Mr. Freeze.
Yeah, it's okay. But it's nothing to write home about.
Let's switch gears. Let's ask an Alan question from After Comics.
Okay.
All right. This is a storage question.
It's a what?
Storage question.
Okay.
Do you and Anthony use more than one backing board per comic?
Yes.
He told me Alan uses 3 to 4. He says per book.
I use full. I'm transitioning to fullbacks.
Oh, fullback.
I use 2 fullbacks.
Wow.
2 fullbacks. So here's an example. You'll see in a future haul. I got it after Nick showed it in his video. But it has 2 fullbacks. It's not going to bend unless you really bend it.
I'm noticing that more and more it shows too. Anyone, if they have books over $50, there's always 2 fullbacks in it.
Yeah, exactly.
Well, here's what I'm thinking I'm going to do with my books that I'm going to keep, my personal collection, and I'll throw this out to the chat as well. I think I want to put them in a Mylar, Silver Age Mylar, and then get a Golden Age top loader and slide that into it with no board.
Oh, okay. That's not a bad idea.
And micro chamber paper in it, because I like the back ads. I like being able to see the back cover. And blue tape, of course, so I can get at the book easy.
Well, Mike,
that's what I'm thinking. I'm thinking no backer board. I'm thinking Mylar, Silver Age Mylar, because most of my books are wide anyway, and then they fit perfectly in a Golden Age top loader.
But Mike, Knights of Old showed an older video of his where he had I think he had the clear backing boards, where you can see the back cover for things that you just mentioned. Mm-hmm. You could do that.
The Evel Knievel ad. I love that freaking ad.
Yeah, that's pretty good. That's pretty good. That's a good idea. But I use fullbacks. They are acid-free, from what I believe. I know that's a concern for a lot of people, but they are acid-free.
Yeah, especially like us. I mean, you're going to have the books for another 50 years probably. So.
I use those, yeah. And I put all my books, except I use Silver Age bags, Silver Age Mylars, unless it's a Golden Age. Obviously, that's not good.
Mylar twos, right?
Yeah. Even if it's a Bronze Age or a modern, they all get Silver Age bags, except for Goldens, obviously.
Hey, Cougar's here.
Hey, Cougar. Hey, Mike.
Yeah, man, it looks like the same. But I've been checking how many people are on. I can't tell. It says 5. I think there's more than 5 people on.
Oh God, have we lost? Weird. Have we lost like 90% of our audience
with our questions?
Oh God, maybe this wasn't such a good idea.
All right. Question number 2 from Alan from After Comics. Are you the only one who collects in your family? And he doesn't mean just comics. He means everything, because his son is a big video game collector. He still has all the video games, apparently. His wife collects nothing, he said. Alan's the only collector in the family. And I think Alan collects enough for everyone in his family.
Go ahead, Patrick.
My son collects. He's into Magic the Gathering. He plays that game a lot. I wouldn't call him a collector, but he plays a lot of video games, and he keeps them. I mean, we have probably hundreds of them on a shelf downstairs. My one daughter used to collect snow globes, but I don't think she does anymore. No, that's probably it. My brother still collects comic books a little bit here and there.
Okay.
But no, mostly it's me.
Okay. In my family, I knew I had some cousins that collected comics on my father's side, but other than that, no, I'm the only person that collects anything. Especially if that sort of thing was looked down on in my family. Collecting stuff, all this stuff is, these are toys. You're too old to be playing with toys. That's sort of the attitude. You'd be ridiculed, pretty much. So I had to keep it a secret for many years, as much as I tried.
Yeah. So that's a no.
That is a no. But just my other cousins, and they were quiet about it too, because,
Well, this is an easy one. Question number 3 from Alan. Will you be collecting when you are 70?
No. I plan to give all my comics to my children when I'm 55.
Really?
Yes.
Wow.
I'm not gonna wait till I'm 80 and about to die.
Okay, there's no way I'm doing that. That's only 5 years. So yes, Alan, I'll still be collecting when I'm 70, if I'm still here. Hopefully, I'm still here.
I'm sure you will, Patrick.
Yeah. Yeah, I'll still be. I don't know how active I'd be at that point.
Yeah, I mean,
I'll have them. I won't have gotten rid of them. But who knows? You never know. I mean, I might get the bug, and I was a completist, and as others that are completists have pointed out to me, that you're always in recovery, that you're only one addict find away from becoming a completist again.
I don't know. Yeah.
I see Rob Montana. That's somebody new that I think he's been on a couple times. I see Scott, and I don't think that's Scott Farr. I think that's a different Scott. All right. Let's go back to some mic questions.
All right.
So this is a pretty easy one. And this is also the same question that Captain UK Pop Culture Fun asked. So I'll read them in succession and then we can answer. So Mike's question is there any original art that you can see yourself buying in the future? What if you come across that piece at a killer price? So then very similarly, we got the same question. It says, neither of you seem to be into original art. Is that something you intend to steer away from? Or may there be some interest there in the future for one or both of you? So you can go first on this one.
I have no interest in original art. I guess that was the wrong answer. I have no
either.
No, I have no interest in original art whatsoever.
Hold on.
Sure. So the reason why I have no interest in original art is because it seems like it's just another Pandora's box to open. It's already just too much. I collect, as you know, comics. To backtrack a little bit on the last question, I said I would give all my comics to my kids when I'm 55, maybe 55, 60.
That's going to keep sliding.
Yeah, I know, right? But the thing is, though, no, it's just too much for me to get into. I have video games, I have comics. That's expensive as it is.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, original art, I imagine, is going to be expensive too to get into if you have anything of value or you want to get anything significant.
Exactly. For me, I think 5 years ago I might have been more interested in it, but now the prices on that stuff has just gotten insane.
Yeah, it's crazy. I would love to own a piece by DC artists.
Yeah. I mean, one piece is 30 grand for something really good.
Yeah.
I'd rather have $30,000 worth of Silver Age books than that.
And I think they're easier to sell too. Your comics.
The comics are much more liquid. I think original art can be very, very hard to move. You have to find the right guy for it.
Yeah, you spend 30 grand on an original piece of art, and then let's say you have to move it for whatever reason. Well, that might take a while.
Well, you'll probably take a hit to move it. So,
yeah. But if you purchase maybe a Showcase 4 for whatever, a 4.0 for maybe 10 grand, and a few years later you have to move it, you might be able to move it for some sort of profit.
And that was in Mike's question, unless you found a killer deal. So say that you were in a estate sale and you found a stack of, I don't know, some Gil Kane artwork, and they only wanted $100 for it. Well, yeah, obviously.
Oh, yeah, of course.
Yeah. So a killer deal is a killer deal. Yeah, I would grab all of it.
Yeah.
And you hear that happening sometimes.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, absolutely.
All right, let's move on to the next one. So this is Mike's next question. Character or story arc that you hope becomes a good movie from any publisher? I know the first one popped in my head. It's a recent one too.
What, Secret Wars 2?
No, I really would love to see Netflix do Paper Girls.
Okay.
I think it would be fantastic. It totally lends itself to being an episode type driven thing. I could totally see that. It's just like Stranger Things.
I really don't know. This question's got me. What major story arc would I like to see?
Character or story arc, and it can be any publisher. So you could
character or story arc.
Yeah, character or story arc. Yeah.
Well, I would want to see EC.
Oh, I think we talked about that. I
would want to see the Crypt Keeper, but I also want to see the Vault Keeper, and I want to see the Old Witch, and I want to see them the way they appeared in the first few issues, just like seeing a Batman movie pre-Robin, reading a Batman comic pre-Robin.
Place too, because they're free to do whatever they wanted.
And I would like to see them somehow connect some of these stories, because all the EC stories are individual. They're separet. I'd like to see them combine some.
That was the beauty of the Tales of the Crypt with the Crypt Keeper on HBO. You just, it was he had a host, and it was just that feeling, and you had that creepiness every time you put that on. And I think that really heightened it, at least did for me.
But the thing is, though, about the Crypt Keeper from the HBO series, even though he's iconic, I never really found him too scary, because he's always laughing at his own jokes But what I liked was the 72 version, where you had a serious English actor playing him, Ralph Richardson. He was more intimidating. He wasn't scary, but there was more of a presence there.
More serious.
Yes, that I think added more weight and legitimacy to that character on the screen. That's what I think. He looked more like the Vault Keeper, though, in the 72 series show movie.
All right. Well, I think we nailed that one.
Certainly did.
All right. Here's Mike's last question. If you were contacted by a collector wanting to offload a collection, what would that dream collection reasonably contain? And then in parentheses says, Mile High style collections aside, meaning, super ridiculous like that, basement fine. How would you finance it, assuming it was priced well below guide? So what would that collection contain for you?
All Golden Age detectives and Batmans.
Wow, that would be nice.
Yeah.
I think that's what I want. A pile of 10 centers, DC 10 centers.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think that's it. And how would I finance it? Well, as tough as this sounds, and you've done it, and others have done it, I would sell whatever I had to. obviously not my landfill books, but everything else I would sell to finance that, because those books are harder to get than these books are that we currently have.
Absolutely, yeah.
I mean, you sold a whole bunch of stuff to buy your Amazing Fantasy 15, and since then you've been able to replace a lot or most of those books
and get better books too.
And get better books. So that's how I would finance it. I would sell off everything that I have to grab that once in a lifetime find.
Yeah, I agree. That's not bad.
All right.
What else you got there, Patrick?
I think that's everyone's questions.
Oh, we're all out of questions.
Still Silver Age Dave's one about holding your breath forever made me laugh when he sent that to me. It's like, that is bizarre. I don't know where to go with that one. Well, I have a question.
Oh, okay. What?
This is my question. What story arc do you secretly love that most others hate? Kind of a guilty pleasure story arc in comics. And it can be anything, any comic. Is the one that you really like that everyone else thinks is stupid or dumb and silly?
I probably agree with everybody.
There's not one that you can think of that you love to read or you really look
you know, look, I hate to keep saying this over and over again. Although I like superhero books, obviously, I was never really overly impressed with a lot of their stories. There are some that stick out. There are some that are memorable for me, like Maximum Carnage and others like that. But I was more of an EC person. And when I went from EC to superheroes, I was like, wow, this is real crap.
Yeah, the hero-driven stuff is like that. It's heroes first, story second. It seems like in a lot of cases.
Yeah,
you have the same tropes. You know, they meet up, they fight, and they say, "Let's team up and fight the bad guy."
Yeah, and what I didn't like was characters would die and they'd be back a year later. How many times have certain characters have been resurrected? Oh, this is going to be the death of, and I hated that.
Yeah.
I mean, I understand that they had to bring up. I understand they wanted to make money. I understand that. Back when I was a kid, I didn't understand it. But you know, in hindsight's 2020. They wanted to create the death of Superman. It's going to get a lot of people buying comics, and that was the catalyst for that '90s wave that came, I think. And when they bring him back, it's going to bring a lot of people in too. I get that, but for me, I think it cheapened a lot of the stories. It cheapened a lot of the characters. We had the death of Wolverine a few years ago. We had the death of Deadpool, like 57 times or whatever. Jean Grey's dead, back to life. You can name them all.
Pretty much all of them. They're bringing Cyclops back, right?
Was he dead?
I think so. Yeah, he died of that virus that the Inhumans caused.
Oh God! Oh, that sucks.
Yeah, he was a prick. I kind of was glad he was dead. I was enjoying his death.
I probably liked him better as a prick.
Yeah, I liked him when they called him Slim. You know, back in the early. My guilty pleasure, and I'll admit this openly, is I love the series ROM.
Oh, okay.
I did. I loved it. I can remember I couldn't wait to run up the end of my driveway. I'd hear the mail truck. And why don't all mail trucks have that horrible exhaust system? They all have it. Can't they afford a good exhaust system? They all sound like crap. But as a kid, you love that sound because there's two sounds you know as a kid. The sound of the mail truck and the sound of the UPS truck.
Well, I think in thinking about it, I think I like Long Shot.
Oh, okay. That's kind of one that people frown on, yeah.
Yeah, I like.
People always make fun of ROM, and I love that series. And it got kind of stupid near the end. I'd say up until like issue probably 25. When Galactus showed up, that's when I kind of lost interest. But it was just so. It was in a small town, and it just had a really cool feel to it. He interacted a little bit with other heroes, and then you had those 16, 17, or 17, 18 where the X-Men showed up and helped them fight Hybrid, and I don't know. I love that series, and I can remember going up and running up my driveway and pulling out my, the brown sleeve comic books, and I would read ROM first before X-Men, before Avengers, before anybody. And I love that series.
Well, I'll tell you another series that I really liked, though. You know how I was talking about how comics, I was like, oh, I was a little unimpressed with the storytelling. Yeah. I liked Spawn when he first came out. Oh. I thought this was the perfect type of comic for me. It had almost like a horror feel to it.
Yeah, it did, definitely. You went to hell. Yeah, definitely.
I love the artwork. Characters usually stay dead for the most part. right?
Yeah, they died horribly in that too.
Yeah,
So.
that was something. I was like, wow, this is really cool.
Yeah, Violator was the main villain, and he was awful. I mean,
Yes.
his name is Violator.
Yeah, I mean, it was gory. I was like, woo, you don't see this in an X-Men comic or a Spider-Man comic.
No. There was some blurb released yesterday about the movie that's coming out. So,
Spawn?
I looked over real quick, and I saw 9/8. People are again paying over $100 for CGC 9/8 version of that book. So
I'll be right back. I just gotta put the light on.
If you have your Spawn #1 and you think it's in a 9/8, now's a great time to get it slabbed and sell it, because I don't think it's going to come around again. Wait between the trailer and the release of the movie is the sweet spot usually where you can get the most money when you sell a book. I think I have 10 copies of it laying around.
Yeah, I think I have like I have 5 or 6 copies of Spawn #1 in various.
Well, if we all drop them all at once, it'll probably flood the market, and it'll drop that down to a $30 book.
Well, I don't know. Do you think that book is a book that will rise like to a really high price?
Well, it's a supply and demand thing.
Many of them out
there's so many of them, but there's so many New Mutants '98s out there. And look at that book. Yeah. I mean, that book still gets over $800. Look how many Spider-Man 300s were printed. Like hundreds of thousands of them, and it's a supply. People are demand. People want it. If they want it and the movie's cool, they're going to want that first issue. And then some people are going to chase out that Malibu
Sun.
Malibu Sun book.
And not forget Russ #1.
Oh yeah, Russ
Crusader of Comics #1.
Yep.
All the first appearances.
Yeah, the first cameo or official. It'd be great if somebody finally came out with definitive rules on that, but I guess the market has dictated that. So.
Well, I think CGC says Spawn #1 is the first appearance.
Yeah.
But I think people widely consider Malibu Sun his first appearance.
Yeah, no, I think you're right.
That feel that Russ #1 is the first appearance. So I think it's a constant battle.
Yeah. Yeah, I think the market always lets that play out. I mean, like if you look at Hulk 181, people can scream and stamp their feet. I agree with him. 180 is his first appearance. He's full figured. He speaks. I mean, that's his first appearance, but it doesn't matter what anyone thinks. Or I think, as Nick and others say, just get both.
Yeah.
That's
what I did. That's what I did.
Jimmy, Jimmy Olsen 134, and then get what is it? Forever People #1.
Forever People #1. Yeah.
Get both of them. Then you're covered. If that's why you're collecting it.
Yeah, that's true. That makes sense. If you're really a big Wolverine fan, and it's a big debate on when his true first appearance is. Well, you're a Wolverine fan. Wouldn't you have both of them? Yeah. So what does it matter?
You'd want all 3, really, right? Because he's in 182 as well.
Yeah, absolutely. You'd want the trifecta.
Yeah, 182's kind of got a funky story in there with the Chain Gang guys that escaped too.
I like that book.
We talked about that. It reminds me of the Defiant Ones, I think it's called. Sidney Poitier, and I can't remember what's his name. Curtis, I think he's in it. You get the whole black guy, white guy thing chained together, and they have to work together, and but the hammer and anvil is very similar to that.
Yeah, and they made one of the guys look like an anvil.
Yeah. Oddly enough.
Hey. I like that.
Well, Curtis, that's right. I knew it was something Curtis. Jamie Lee Curtis's dad.
Oh, Tony Curtis?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, all right. What else?
Great movie. If you haven't seen the Defiant Ones, definitely see it. Sidney Poitier is awesome. I watch anything he's in. Raven in the Sun, all of those.
What else you got, Patrick?
Those are all the questions I have.
What about you? Do you have any other questions? Do you have any prospects lined up?
I do.
Okay. On Comic Link?
Not just Comic Link.
Okay.
I got some other stuff in play, but we'll see.
We'll see how it goes.
What I'm finding is, and we've talked about this, I think when you're hunting large keys, it's very difficult to buy them on eBay, I think. It's the amount of competition out there and how willing some people are to overpay for something, or they see, especially if it's a raw book, they'll see it as a higher grade than it really is. So then they'll quantify a larger dollar amount to it than you would. I think a lot of that's going on eBay right now. At least that's what I see. And now you got everyone with tax money getting back. So people are spending like drunken sailors right now on eBay. So if you got books, list them. I've been listing and they've been selling great. I just look at what GPA is and I put them 10% under that and away they go.
But you still get offers?
Oh, I got this goofy offer yet. Did I send you the thing to it today? The guy said that his dad's a Superman fan.
Oh, yes.
It was like
Can
a
you
60,
sell it? Yeah, can you sell it to me for half?
discount and cover shipping. And oh, by the way, I live in Canada. I'm just like, dude, 3 strikes for that.
Let's see. No.
No, I didn't even reply to him because it's
Yeah.
not like I have it on best offer. I just have buy it now prices.
Yeah, I have something for sale right now. One guy contacted me saying, "Hey, what's the lowest you are willing to go? I'm a big fan." I didn't respond to him, and I talked about this last week. I don't respond to what's the lowest you're willing to go questions, and I don't care if you're a big fan. No one cares if I'm a big fan of Krypton Terror 17. Yeah.
That's what I'm a big fan of. Does it have Benjamin Franklin on it? Because I don't care about it.
Yeah.
I got another one too, where this guy did this analysis on. He cherry picked the lowest books that he could find, and then he showed me the average and explained why. And while he was doing that, and I'm reading the email. I see click. I get a notification. I click. Someone paid my exact price for it.
Yeah, that's right. Sometimes that happens.
Well, I messaged him. I said, "I'm sorry you spent so much time on this analysis, but the book just sold for my asking price. Have a good night." And I know that's probably evil and dickish, but I enjoyed sending it.
I sold a book over a year ago, one to fund my Amazing Fantasy 15. And it sold. I offered a great deal, and the guy sold it. But one guy said, "Oh, send me an email. Did that book sell?" I'm like, "Yeah, it sold." He's like, "Oh, I would have paid for it, but I just don't like paying for what the asking price is." I'm like, "Well, you lost the deal. Yeah. Stupid."
Yeah. Hashtag you lost the deal, stupid.
Yeah, I just don't like. I just like paying asking prices for.
Yeah.
I don't know what to tell you.
Yeah. Yep. Yeah, it's I don't know. It's kind of the ugly part of the hobby, but what are you supposed to do? Sell stuff for dirt cheap just to make someone happy? But a lot of times you don't know if these guys are true fans or if they're just like this guy that said that his dad's favorite character was Superman. Not even his dad might have been dead 10 years ago. This could just be some scumbag flipper,
Yeah, because they'll say stuff like that.
Don't trust anybody. Mike had a historical one where this guy told him that he wanted the book for his sick son in the hospital. He was dying of something, I think it was.
Oh my God! That's
3 years later, he gets the same thing from the same guy. So that guy the guy probably doesn't even have a kid, over and over again, and he must not have remembered that he already tried to play the game on Mike.
Some people have no conscience about
this.
No,
they're just crooked.
They'll say the most
horrible things. The other thing Mike sent out, and everyone in the chat, be on the lookout for this. There's a dealer. His name's Harley Yee. And apparently at a con, his vehicle was broken into either during or after the con, and they took a large number of books. Amazing Fantasy 15 was one of them. So if you're approached by anybody that has hot books, definitely get a hold of the police. And if it seems sketchy to you, and you'll know, you've been in this hobby long enough, when a guy's not really a collector and he's just somebody that stole some books. If you're getting an offer of a book that's 60, 50% under what it's worth, then something's wrong. And Harley's been a guy that's been a dealer for years and years, and whether you like him or not, it's just a crappy situation, and we kind of all got to look out for each other, I think, in this hobby. So if you get approached by anyone with hot books or you know anything about it, say something to somebody, because it's just crappy, because the fallout of it's going to be, and Mike's heard this and I've heard this from some dealers already, they're going to stop bringing big wall books to shows now. Which sucked.
Well, what happened? Leroy had something stolen last year.
Leroy had something stolen, and then there was an article published at C2E2 where a guy and his 2 kids and his wife got caught swiping books, and they were taking the price tags off in the the bathroom, and then they were coming back out on the show floor trying to sell them to other dealers. So, but he got caught. So that's out there, and that sucks because you got a few bad apples, but it kind of wrecks it for the rest of us. It would be a shame if guys like Leroy and, Dale Roberts and Reese and some of the, Bob Storm, some of those guys stop bringing big keys, because whether you buy them or not, it's kind of cool to see them,
Yeah.
Wall book, if your best wall book's going to end up being like Punisher #1, a 9.4, that's a sad wall book.
Yeah.
But that's where we're headed if these jerks keep stealing stuff. Either that or you're just going to have massive security at these events.
It's really difficult, though, sometimes to keep track of who's doing what, because there's just so many people around. Yeah. And especially if you have a big setup. You really have to be on, have people around, or you really have to be on everybody because people are slick.
Yeah,
they come with their book bags and lots of shit, a lot of bad shit can happen.
And it's usually two guy teams where one guy will distract, the other guy takes, that kind of thing. And that's what this guy in Chicago, he got caught, but he didn't realize that Bob Storms had cameras, and he got caught on film stealing. So anyway,
I like to see Bob Storms angry.
Yeah, I bet it's it's a tirade. I'm actually looking forward to seeing them when I go down to Charlotte this year. All of them. I like seeing all those guys. And that was something else that I think we talked about, you and Mike and I talked about, is I'm trying to think of any younger guys out there that are pretty big dealers, and there really aren't any coming up. And that's kind of a sad thing, really.
Well, I would assume Dale Roberts' son's going to take over, and Reese's son is going to take over.
He seems like he's deeply involved.
He's got a couple sons.
I didn't know Dale's son was there. I see Bob's. Dale's dad's always sitting there reading some crime novel on a chair. He's kind of watching the books.
Well, Bob's son's there. A little more approachable.
Yeah.
Friendly enough.
Yeah. Well, anyway, I think HeroesCon is going to be a lot of fun. I know some of you have reached out to me. I think DS says he's saving up to be down there. I know Alan's planning on being there. Me and Mike, of course, will go down. I'm still going to try to shame Anthony and going with me.
Look, I mean, I would love to go to HeroesCon and see everybody. That would be the only reason why I'd want to go, to obviously see you, see other people that.
Even if we get you down there, fly down, come down to the show, and then even go back the same day.
I know.
That would be worth it. If you could spend 8 hours on the floor, and have a blast, and then fly home that night.
I know. But that's why I would want to go, to see everybody. But this year, it doesn't look like it's going to happen. Next year it might happen.
Yeah, well, I might have to think about going to New York one of these years.
I'll be at New York this year. I'll be in New York. I'll be at the East Coast Comic-Con coming up next month. I might go to the Jersey Con in July. I don't know. But I'll definitely be at New York and East Coast. Yeah.
I got to, I'll check in with Mike. Mike obviously goes at least 2 cons a month. I think he went to 23 last year. The year before, I think 26. So it's about every other week he's going to a pretty good sized con. So
that's crazy.
Yeah. Well, that just, he's really into the hobby.
Just a little.
Yeah, just a little bit.
Well, it's 8:02. Well, it's 8:02, everybody.
Yes. Still going strong. I see Alex jumped on here. Hey, Alex. I enjoyed his haul video he had.
Yes,
here.
I just saw it.
And I saw the back of your list, Alex. I think I'm going to close my blinds at night because I think he's been peeking at my 2019 list because the books he wrote on the back of his list, and he's going to go after those first before he goes on the front. Pretty much all 3 of those books either I want or have. So anyway, we'll see what happens. I'm sure we'll meet each other out there bumping heads trying to buy the same book.
Well, I don't think too many people were interested in some of the books I bought. I'm still into the, when I go to EC and stuff like that.
There's a lot of older collectors that go to EC, and what I notice with them more than anything, when they see a book, they just buy it. I don't see a lot of haggling going on.
No, because they're not as easy to find.
They're not, and you would think then that, geez, well, that means it's scarcer, so money will go up. You see the HTF on eBay, but the issue there is there's not as much demand for them.
Right. There's no movie coming out.
No.
The mummy on this cover is not going to be in the next TV series. So people, like I said, we go back to what we said earlier in the conversation. People, I think a lot of people, not everybody, are in it for the value.
Yeah.
What's this going to be worth?
Yeah, and really, the only reason I'm into the value of it is so that I can get more stuff.
Right.
Otherwise, I would never slab a book. I would never sell a book.
Look, I'm not saying anything bad about that.
No.
Being the value. No, not at all. But I'm saying that's why probably a lot of people don't go after EC. They're valuable, but like you said, there's not as much demand out there.
No, I am looking forward to some of these 55 to 65-year-old guys dumping their Silver Age collections. So
there you go.
Because if nobody sells, nobody can buy, right?
That's right. All right. Well, I got to get going because he's outside. So
Well, thanks everyone for stopping by. I hope we got to everyone's questions. I will look through the chat after this to see if there are any questions in there that obviously I didn't get to, and I'll try to answer all of them. We'll see if there's any no prizes out there. I don't know if there's any reason to award one, but I will. If you haven't yet, watch Anthony's video. It's pretty good. There's a couple good picks in there, I think. I think getting the Mr. Sinister one would be a key one to pick up.
Get multiple copies, but I got more videos coming out of X-Men.
I think a minor one to pick up would be Dazzler's first appearance.
Yep.
I think you can still get that fairly cheap, and if you can get it in 9.4 or higher grade, you can still probably get $100 for it. So that's one you can get and flip real quick. So look for little ones like that, because you do it over and over again. You can make a lot of money. Find maybe a few core books and just keep buying the same ones. I've done the same ones over and over again. If you know that book, then you don't have to study and know all these key books. If you know 20 books and you're on the lookout for those books, get those same books over and over again and keep selling those same books over and over again. So, anyway, thanks everybody. Hope you enjoyed this Q&A.
Take care, everyone.
Keep hunting books. Keep reaching. Bye.